email is one click away from destroying a team, and I guarantee you that you have felt this exact urge, possibly even this week. The difference between good leaders and great leaders is that they catch themselves before they hit send. Picture this, it's 4 p.m. on a Friday. You finally got to a point where you can leave the office and your phone buzzes. It's from David, your reliable team member. The quarterly report that you need for Monday's board meeting, the one you've been reminding everyone about for weeks. Hey, I know this is last minute, but I'm going to need until Tuesday to finish the quarterly report. Some unexpected client issues came up this week. Sorry about the timing. You feel that familiar surge. Your weekend just vanished. The board meeting that you've been preparing for is in jeopardy. And David, dependable David, just threw you under the bus. Your fingers are flying and you're formulating the message that you are about to send. It's something that feels completely justified in that moment. Something that feels like leadership. But what you are about to send isn't feedback. It's about to destroy more trust than you can rebuild in months. Welcome to Mindset Monday, where we tackle the leadership challenges that keep you up at night and the patterns that hold your team back. For over 30 years, Dr. John Gottman studied what makes relationships succeed or fail. He could watch a couple for just 15 minutes and predict divorce with 94% accuracy. He identified 4 communication patterns that are so toxic, he calls them the 4 Horsemen of the Apocalypse. Here's what nobody talks about. These same patterns that destroy marriages are killing leadership effectiveness every single day. The criticism that ends relationships, it's the same pattern that makes your best performers start job hunting. Great news, if we can predict what destroys trust, we can also prevent it. And that is exactly what we're going to do today. This is not about one email. When leaders send messages driven by frustration, your team stops bringing you problems until they're disasters. People start dreading your name in their inbox. Your best performers begin planning their exit strategy. Innovation dies because nobody wants to risk triggering you. One defensive email doesn't just hurt the recipient, it sends a message to everybody that this is how you'll be treated when things go wrong. The email you're about to send feels justified. It feels like accountability, but it's actually the first step towards becoming a leader that people avoid and not the one that they trust. What's really happening in that moment when you start typing? You don't consciously think, I'm going to attack David's character, but here's what you're likely feeling. Betrayal. He let me down. Frustration. This always happens. Powerless. I can't control anything. Judged. What would the board think? So you start typing what feels like leadership. David, this is extremely disappointing. Or maybe, David, I'm concerned about your time management. Or even, this puts me in a very difficult position. Perhaps I need to be able to count on my team. Sound familiar? Every word feels reasonable. Every sentence feels justified. But here's what Gottman's research shows us. Criticism equals character attack. Criticism isn't feedback about behavior. It's an attack on someone's character. And it triggers the exact defensiveness and withdrawals that kills psychological safety. This is where my framework for connected leadership saves everything. Because the moment that you feel criticism rising, you have a choice. First, receive. What is happening? Notice the physical signals, the heat in your chest, your fingers tensing. Catch character judgments from forming. He's always, this is so typical. Recognize that you're about to make this about who he is, not what happened. Take 3 visible breaths. This is embodying grace and creating space between trigger and response. Next, perceive what is really driving your reaction. You're not really angry at David. You're scared about looking unprepared. You're feeling out of control, and you're trying to manage your own anxiety by controlling him. This is conquering control, recognizing that the only thing that you can control is how you receive, perceive, and respond. Finally, you want to respond with intention. Address the business need, not his character. Express your actual concerns clearly. Ask for his perspective on what happened. Focus on solutions for moving forward. This isn't about being nice. This is about being effective. Let me show you both emails, the one your emotions want to send and the one your leadership needs to send. I'm extremely disappointed by this timing. This puts our entire team in a difficult position, and frankly, I'm questioning whether you understand the importance of these deadlines. I need to be able to count on you, and right now, I'm not sure I can. We need to discuss this first thing Monday morning. Whoa. Everything about this feels justified, but watch what Gottman's research tells us it actually communicates. His worth is tied to perfect timing. You don't trust his judgment. He's solely responsible for your stress. The relationship is now adversarial. David, I got your message about timing. I understand client issues come up. That's exactly the kind of thing that I want you prioritizing. I'm feeling pressure about the board presentation Monday. Can we connect first thing Monday morning to figure out the best path forward? I'd like to understand what happened this week and how we can handle similar situations in the future. Same deadline, same pressure, completely different energy. Notice what changed. You acknowledge your own emotional state. You validated his priorities and you expressed curiosity instead of judgment. You invited collaboration instead of creating defensiveness. This isn't about lowering standards. It is about recognizing value. Understanding that David's worth doesn't fluctuate based on one deadline. Now, some of you are thinking, but Dr. Kara, what about accountability? What about standards? Here's the thing. The real conversation, the one that actually changes behavior, it happens face to face, not in an email sent in frustration. Monday morning comes and you're sitting across from David. Here is how you have the conversation that builds trust instead of breaking it up. David, help me understand what happened with the report timing. I want to make sure that I'm supporting you effectively when these client situations arise. You see the difference? You're not starting with judgment. You're starting with curiosity. You're seeking to understand before seeking to be understood. Then you listen. Really listen. Not to find holes in his story, but to understand his reality. Maybe David was managing a client crisis that could have cost the company millions. Maybe he was protecting you from a problem that he thought he could quietly solve. Maybe your timeline conflicted with something that was way more urgent that you had no awareness of. The conversation becomes about problem solving together, not punishing him for disappointing you. This is what Gottman would call moving from criticism to complaint, addressing specific behaviors instead of attacking character. Here's what you discover in that Monday conversation. David's unexpected client issues, well, your biggest client was being poached by a competitor. David spent 70 hours that week, not just saving the account, but expanding it by $2 million annually. While you were feeling betrayed about a report, David was actually saving your business. But because you were focused on the deadline, you nearly sent an email that would have told him his judgment doesn't matter. The real question becomes, do you want people to avoid bringing you problems, or do you want them to trust you with the hard stuff? So here's your Mindset Monday challenge. Before you send any email when you're frustrated, save it to drafts. Wait 10 minutes, then ask yourself, am I addressing the behavior or attacking the person? What am I really afraid of in this situation? What would I say if we were sitting face to face? Here's the deeper challenge. When someone disappoints you, your first response should be curiosity, not judgment. Ask what happened before you ask, what were you thinking? Gottman's research teaches us the stories we tell ourselves about why people do things, they're usually wrong. When we act on those stories, we trigger the very defensiveness that destroys trust. I want to hear from you, and let's be honest in the comments. What is your criticism trigger? Is it missed deadlines, poor communication, mistakes that make you look bad? Think about the last frustrated email you almost sent but didn't. What stopped you? What would have happened if you'd sent it? I'll go first. My trigger used to be when people came to meetings unprepared. I would start typing emails about respect for everyone's time when I was really just embarrassed that my meeting wasn't going well. What's your trigger? Share it in the comments and let's learn from each other's close calls. If you've ever typed an email in anger, here's what I need. First, hit that like button if you're ready to transform your difficult conversations. Second, subscribe and ring that bell because this is week 1 of our Four Horsemen series. Next Mindset Monday, we are diving into the deadliest horseman, contempt. The eye roll that kills careers, the sarcastic comment that destroys innovation, and that superior attitude that makes people quit without notice. Here's something special. This Wednesday, I am going deeper into the connection bank concept and showing you exactly how to make deposits that build psychological safety. You don't want to miss that. Third, save this video. The next time you're about to send that email, watch this instead. Remember, the only control that you have is how you receive, perceive, and respond. Make this Monday the start of communication that builds trust instead of breaking it.